All right. How's it going? Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Good, good.
What do you need to see from this team on Sunday? And keeping in mind Arizona was looking different than they did that week.
Yeah, Arizona's done a great job these last few weeks, really competing, playing at a high level. With Buda Baker, you can really see, our first game going against these guys. Baker had just kind of gotten back in the mix there, and you can really see Rallis and those guys have done a nice job of really structuring the defense around him, maximizing his skill set, and then generating a pass rush with a good mix of guys, a good mix of variety of stunts and all the things that they do. So they present some great challenges. So for us offensively, it's going to come back to finishing the regular season strong here with great communication, great fundamentals, and then still looking for that continuous improvement every single week. This week no different than last week in terms of those basic fundamentals that we want to keep looking to improve on and have our best game yet.
When you talk about that pass rush, it doesn't necessarily show up in the total number of sacks for Arizona,
Correct.
But how can you tell how disruptive that can be?
Yeah, just the amount of pressures, because I know that every now and then the sack number can be a little misleading in terms of, if quarterbacks are getting forced to throw it away, you don't get the sacks. But they generate a lot of free rushers. They did it last week a couple times, especially in those third down situations through their scheme. So it comes back to that communication, that understanding of what's going on, taking all 11 every single snap, and being great with our eyes, great with our routes, great with our timing, all those things that go together to be successful against a kind of a unique style of pass rush that we're going against this week.
Gino's sack rate, his sacks per dropback, have dropped in half since the Dallas game compared to the first 13 games before that. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think for us offensively, I just think big picture-wise, the areas that we were looking to continue to improve upon, I think Gino's done a nice job of playing in a good rhythm the last few weeks here, and then also takes the other guys as well, where we've done a good job with our protection plans, giving them a little bit more time. So just looking to continue to do that, knowing that there's been some moving pieces within that, and the guys have done a good job of whoever had to step up, whether it was Olu this past week, Stone's had to jump in there, Jake's played in the past games here, kind of throughout the season where we've had to get different guys in. I think the level of communication has stayed at a really high level, and so it's allowed us to continue. And I think as the season's grown, so is our offense as far as handling different pressures, different looks there, and getting Gino doing a good job of getting the ball out in a good rhythm.
And overall, what do you make of Gino's play? Obviously, he missed the 2 games in that stretch, but since the Dallas game, what do you make of the way he's played?
Yeah, I think, no surprise that, some of the stuff where we've had some maybe ups and downs on offense this year, Gino's done a good job of continuing to improve throughout the course of the season. I think, his unwavering confidence, has never changed since, whether it was last year or the year before, the years that I've been around him. And I think his ability to learn from each play that's happened, whether it was good or bad, and then move on to the next play has really allowed him to stay in that process over the results mindset right there. And then the process has started to pick up and started to be a little bit better for us offensively.
You've seen some big plays Gino had in the past game, moving around the pocket, avoiding the pass rush, and then finding that. What makes him good in those situations?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, Gino, when the pass rush is going and he has that ability to move in the pocket, I think he has a good niftiness about him. Does a great job with the ball security when it does go off schedule, because we know the D linemen want nothing more than to rake the ball out of his hands in those moments there. So he's got a great ball security in those moments, and then he does a good job of keeping his eyes downfield. When he's moving off the spot to potentially create a big play off schedule there, with also still having the ability to run and accelerate through the defense.
The running game numbers for the year are down.
Sure.
What do you attribute that to, I guess?
Yeah, I think recently, our ability to hit the runs and hit the targets, play with better technique, I think has started to come to light. And then I always go back to, getting us staying on the field, us being, better with our time of possession as an offense, which goes back to third downs and some of the other situational football where I don't think we've been great in certain instances there, and we need to continue to be better, because when we know when those numbers are better, then we get more ops, more chances at the run game. And, I think, combining the eliminating negative runs, making sure we're targeted well, which I think we've done a really good job of improving improving that throughout the course of the season, but then also coming back to, how do we extend drives? How do we prevent those 3 and outs that'll keep those run game numbers down and end up in games where if you do have a 3 and out and then you end up with some 2-minute possessions, it's not ideal of where we want to be. So we're just focused on the next game right here of knowing what our goals are, what we want to look like as an offense. And like I said, each week that chance to improve. Just because this is week 18 doesn't mean this isn't the week that we can keep working and keep improving. A lot of young guys that have stepped up and played a lot better as the season's gone. Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's something that each week we've really looked back at our red zone and our third down numbers. And like anything, there's been some different situations, different games, whether it's been, a pass rush here or there or, getting out on time or certain things. So I think like everything else, those are every week we're learning from something, stacking reps, and then putting that all together, looking forward to the next week. And I think, like I said, in certain weeks we've had great results there, and I think it's something that we're continuing to improve upon, continue to work on, and putting together a good, complete game with it.
What have you thought of
The O-line this season? Yeah, I think just with the amount of just different mixing and matching combinations there, I think those guys have done a good job. Like Damian Lewis has had a great season. I think this year, continuing to do well, continue to be consistent, play with great power. His last couple weeks, especially right there, I think he's really shown up. And then Evan's consistency, able to be the guy in the middle. And then when guys have had to come out for different reasons, like Evan this past game when Olu steps in, or some of the backup guys have stepped into starter roles, I think the continuity has stayed the same. And I think, like everything else, we're looking to improve each week upon, what we did the week before, and the O-line is no different.
Charles Cross in particular, what kind of year? Obviously, you missed all those games early, but kind of since he's been back.
Yeah, I think Charles, since, dealing with some injuries early on, I think he's another guy, in his second year where since he's come back, each week you've seen improvement right there. And I know different guys have battled through different things, and man, do I appreciate those guys with what they've had to go through, especially the O-linemen, the course of the season, getting to the last week of the season. I don't think there's too many of those guys that are getting out of bed in the morning saying, man, I feel great right now physically. They're all dealing with something. They're tough as heck, and Charles has been doing a great job of just keeping improving every week, and knowing he had to battle through some things towards the beginning of the year.
DK going over 1,000 receptions per year. What do you make of the season he had? Who stands out?
Yeah, I think DK's thing that stands out, especially recently, is his run after catch, his ability to attack the football. I think Gino and Drew have done a great job of getting him the ball, but he's a special player, and I think the defenses have to respect him in all 3 levels of the field, and his ability, even getting all that attention, to still be able to produce week in and week out, is a credit to him, and a credit to how hard he works out here. You see him almost every day out here on the jugs machine at the end of practice. See him early before practice. And so I think, whether it's DK or Tyler or Jackson, these receivers that have, special ability, but then they also match that special ability with a great work ethic and determination to be better. It's cool to see. And again, for a guy as young as he is to have as much success as he's had already in his career is really a credit to him.
How close, Shane, do you think you and the offense have come to maximizing his talents?
To maximizing, I think each week, he's maximizing his talent. We're trying to get him the ball. I think as a receiver, I think there's the week in and week out. What do you do when defenses are tilting coverage to a guy? So to say, that we've maximized him, I mean, I don't know where you would put that in terms of trying to put that into a direct statement right there, but I think week to week, we're trying to get him the ball, get him the targets, and then the quarterback has to do a great job of understanding, hey, does this dictate getting DK the ball here? Because there can be that area of forcing the ball versus reading out coverages right there. So I think he does a good job of understanding that week to week. So we're always going to try to maximize his ability each week, and then depending on how the defense is going to play it, if they're going to overload coverage or really put that spotlight on him, that's where everybody else comes to life in the offense. And I think playing that out week to week is the way we look at it.
Is his talent such that even when they cloud and bracket, that you still want the quarterback to throw, or you want the quarterback to do his normal progressions?
Yeah, I think that what you said right there is key, is the normal progression right there. And I think there's opportunities where DK is still able to win versus some of the different double team matchups, or if they want to cloud him on certain routes, and just having that understanding of, if there is a clean win versus a double team right there, okay, and it's in rhythm of the play, then let's attack, the defense with DK and his ability right there. But if it's not, having that discipline from the quarterback lens to go ahead and progress throughout the play, to not force something that might not be there on that down.
Does he get doubled at like a abnormal rate, or is that just kind of how it is for every team's number one receiver?
Yeah, I think we do have a good mix of guys, but you do see post safeties leaning towards him. So even if it might not be a coverage that's called for a double team, you got presence that they're lending with him. So I think week in and week out, because you can never predict exactly. Defenses, I feel like, so game plan specific each week that you go by a general percentage, but then also having that anticipation that someone's going to get a little bit more attention, each week, depending on how it goes. And and DK is a receiver that's earned that respect throughout the league. And so I think just having that plan, having that understanding that what's it going to play out each week might be a little bit different than how it played out the week before. And for DK, we know there's going to be more times than not where coverages are going to tilt to him, and if there's opportunities for the one-on-ones, being good and in rhythm to taking those.
Going back to how often you guys have ran the ball, outside of the 2 minutes, stuff, you say it's just caught up in having enough plays, or like some script to do different? How do you?
Yeah, I think staying on track has been a big part of that, because when we look, for us, when we break it down, and this is something we'll go and do a full review, but we keep it, the self-scout every week, looking back at what's going on, and trying to stay balanced in those normal down and distance situations, which feel like we have been for the most part there. And then where it gets tilted is get into some second and longs, or getting into some of those third down or 2 minute scenarios. So again, for us, just keep working and keeping working to be a balanced offense, trying to stay in those normal D&Ds as a balanced system there. And then, each game, though, they're still going to might play out a little bit differently with the possessions, and then still trying to do what we feel is the best thing to do to win that game. Good? All right. Thank you.